Did you know college is perceived to be too expensive? Undergraduate admissions are not transparent, and the pathway to admission success is not easily defined. Free speech and/or self-expression in college is not always supported or utilized. Grade inflation is real and is not optimal. That the governance of higher education institutions between the faculty, administrators, board of trustees, state and federal government decision-making impacting colleges, and student activism have all made all of these issues more complicated. And that all of these issues and more have undermined the general public's trust in higher education. Yep, we knew it too. But the good news is we have been proven right by a faculty committee at Yale University. Feels good to be vindicated, doesn't it? Please read the report yourselves. You can read the entire document by clicking on the link below this video, where you will be taken to a link that will take you directly to the report. The report is called the Yale University Report on Trust in Higher Education. Even with the seemingly self-evident statements, there are a number of really interesting observations throughout the paper, and most of the observations relate to every potential student, instructor, faculty member, administrator, or trustee of every college. Keep that in mind as you keep watching. Let's start with colleges are facing a trust problem. The report notes that many surveys support the notion that the general public has lost trust in higher education as a whole, and that community colleges actually have a higher trust ratio than public or private four-year colleges. Ken Goldstein of the Association of American Universities noted, "The story told in these surveys is not one of rejection, but of expectation. On the whole, Americans want universities to succeed, but only on terms that feel fair, affordable, and aligned with public purpose." Seems about right. Another truth in the paper is, in recent years, universities have been expected to be all things to all people, selective but inclusive, affordable but luxurious, meritocratic but equitable. Thus, top-tier schools make millions every year in application fees from students 95% or more of whom will not be accepted. Students want to believe that these colleges will see something in their applications that helps them join an inclusive, affordable, meritocratic, and equitable college student body. Unfortunately, that just doesn't happen, and trust is challenged. Which brings us to affordability. There is no question that the costs of college have been rising sharply, even when adjusted for inflation. As the report notes, this is because education is a people-intensive process. Colleges need qualified instructors, researchers, administrative staff, and there are always the huge costs of physical structures, etc., etc., etc. While it is unlikely that costs will drop dramatically anytime soon, it is more likely that they will remain steady for a period, as has happened at Purdue University, where tuition rates have not changed for more than a dozen years. Congratulations, Purdue. But the greatest changes in college financing have come in the form of student financial aid. Whether through the FAFSA, state-based aid, college financing from their foundations, scholarships, merit aid, or any of the other sources available, students are receiving a greater amount of aid. So the report suggests that at Yale, few students are paying full price, and that it is not uncommon at other schools as well. While affordability is currently and will continue to be an issue, students have to focus on the aid they can receive in all its forms. This is a very important concept as students receive their financial statement letters after they have been accepted for admission. Students need to ask lots and lots of questions of their admissions counselors and the financial aid offices as application lists are developed. And thus, we come to admissions. The committee made a statement that is true beyond Yale while providing some insight into the view of the admissions process from almost every college's perspective. The current admissions system is effective at yielding a class of talented students. It works well for those who get in. It is less effective at explaining why one applicant was chosen over another. The report goes on to indicate that while there is no definitive set of criterion that can be published to say, earn this GPA and test score and you will automatically be awarded admission, the committee does indicate that widely publicizing minimums could be a great help to potential applicants. Interestingly, the committee also indicated that at least at Yale, a large number of students receive preferences in the admission process because they are athletes, children of big donors, or children of Yale alumni. It is indicated that this is a problem, but the suggested solution was to merely reduce the number of students who receive such a preference. Guess not every issue can be solved at once. When it comes to free speech, it is widely recognized that college campuses should be the epitome of sharing different opinions to gain new and better understood perspectives. Unfortunately, it has become the norm on campuses for one opinion or perspective to be not only valued, but also heard. That has to change everywhere. Value needs to be placed on the concept of free speech rather than on the current practice of valuing acceptable speech. The report suggests that self-regulation is part of the problem. In other words, students are afraid to speak their minds, fearing they will undermine their relationship status or grades. As the report states, certain forms of self-censorship and expectations of social decency are necessary in any functioning society, such as self-regulation has its virtues in the classroom. Participants are gathered to speak and learn about a particular subject, not to air unrelated opinions and feelings. But self-censorship, driven by fear of personal attack, academic retaliation, or other political pressure, undermines the principle of free speech and academic freedom. Grade inflation is real, even in top-tier colleges, or as the report states, as grades cluster, they cease to convey useful information about relative student achievement. One side effect of student differentiation being less available through the review of grade point averages is that students are using activities and internships to demonstrate their value and competencies, and learning or education is being underutilized, or at least undervalued. Students must continue to value the classroom while supplementing their skills through extracurricular activities. Finding that balance must now be an internal measure, as the effort to gain understanding in the classroom is not as valued due to the measurements reflected in the grade point average. Balance is the key word. On to governance. From the report, early in our work, the committee recognized that our broad charge risked producing a hodgepodge of complaints, many valid but disconnected. The university's academic mission helps to anchor those issues in a common purpose. But a mission, however clearly stated, does not execute itself. Someone must decide how it is implemented. These decisions and who makes them are what is meant by governance. Colleges of all sorts are governed by the inner workings of administration, faculty, and instructors, as well as the board of governance or trustees. It is through collaboration that the best interests of the students, faculty, and the institution itself are balanced. How well can a college balance these sometimes competing interests determines its success. Not success in the public's eye, but success in how it impacts each individual. While that measurement is not always easy to take from the outside or inside, the college's ability to impact a student can be. As students create their list of colleges to which they will be applying, and also while they are students, they should keep an eye on the general health of their college. This can be done by measuring tuition and the rate of aid, enrollment numbers, how faculty are being treated, for example, is tenure being phased out, and the college's financial health. More than a few colleges are closing. More than a few colleges, even prestigious ones, are facing enrollment challenges. And more than a few colleges are recognizing that valuing diversity of thought is a cornerstone of education itself. Students have to measure how their chosen colleges are managing themselves. Ask yourself, how will aid impact your college costs, especially after the freshman year? Do your admissions qualifications exceed the standards the college presents in its admission information? Can the college provide what you need to be successful in your future? Are you strong enough in your sense of self to have your opinions challenged while standing your ground and calmly and clearly speaking your mind? Can you balance your activities with your coursework rather than becoming so enamored with them that classes become an afterthought? Have you committed to your classes and promised to work to absorb as much information as possible so you are not only earning a grade but expanding your mind? And can you set yourself apart from your counterparts through the work you do for your courses first, supplemented by internships, externships, and employment, so that as grade inflation makes your application similar to every other applicant, you stand out? Have you measured the stability of the college you have attended or those you are interested in? Is the college financially sound? Are they valuing strong classroom instruction, especially through support for their faculty and by finding great instructors. Is the administration indicating that tuition and fee costs are important to control? And most importantly, do you trust your college or the colleges on your application list? Do they value your future as much as they do their own future or reputation? The Yale University Report on Trust in Higher Education is a thoughtful collection and review of the most significant challenges facing colleges and universities today. It also serves as a helpful overview for students and college applicants of the issues they need to be prepared for as they move forward with their own education. Review this report, or at least the issues we presented, to determine whether the college is focused on you, not just its own issues. Please like, subscribe, and share if you have found this video helpful.